Okay, ladies and gentlemen, okay, there we have it. You heard in full detail what has taken place, along with what seems to be that has just been showcased to us, and we'll be putting this on our screens one at a time. What has been showcased to us is the actual imagery of the strikes that have been conducted. I'll take the example of the strike that has been conducted into Muridke. And we can confirm from the imagery that has just been shared with us that at least 4 strikes took place on specific buildings targeted within that one single camp of Muridke. Now, the assessment that has come out, and let's do the military assessment first, that whatever they have targeted, they have eliminated. Those buildings have been destroyed. We have not received information yet on high value targets eliminated or what the casualty count is, but the initial assessment has been that after all the precautions taken in the choosing of the warheads, in the choosing of the deployment technology, which is the munitions or the missiles, that efforts were made to minimize collateral damage, and to the best assessment currently being made, there were no outside casualties, no civilian casualties that have taken place. Now, we have gone through in great detail. I have never seen something like this before, where at the get-go, the actual reconnaissance tapes have just been shared of the live monitoring that was taking place of the attacks as they were happening, of terror camps as they were being eliminated, including what they looked like before and after. We're going to put this imagery on your screens very shortly, and then stick with it. Let me open up this conversation. Ambassador Goyal joining us on the broadcast. Ambassador Goyal, here we have it, sir. Now we know for sure what has happened. Yes, indeed, 9. Yes, multiple missile strikes on each target, and of course a position has been taken that all efforts have been made to minimize civilian casualties at this stage. Your quick response to this, sir.
Very briefly here, Rishabh, I think the choice of targets was very wise. It's excellent choice, because essentially to choose targets outside the regular military and civilian infrastructure and targeting the terrorists, which are known targets, is a good choice, both diplomatically and militarily. Outcome has been more than satisfactory. We have to now really wait, because what I do see is whether Pakistan is going to push it under the carpet, or they are going to retaliate, or they are going to give some kind of a response. That is what we need to wait for. And that is it for the time being. Otherwise, we have to be ready. Yes.
Okay, now we already know 2 points of response that have already happened. Heavy shelling for about 2 hours, in some places slightly more, has already taken place. There are casualties on the LOC. I'm not putting out numbers until, of course, they are confirmed for us. Air Marshal RGK Kapoor joining us. He has been the former CNC of the Central Air Command. Air Marshal, you've just heard an analysis. I have never seen this before, where at the get-go, within hours of a strike, the actual imagery which was being monitored before and after of the strike of the missile hits has now been released. I don't know if you got a chance to see it, sir, but there it is on our screens. This is that's the strikes as they were taking place. So we have now pretty clearly shown what we were trying to hit, what we intended to hit, what was the reason we were hitting it, and what the aftermath of the hit was.
Thank you, Rishabh. The basic thing is that, ever since Balakot, there has been a progressive expansion and enhancement and strengthening of our capabilities, both to strike and to do what we call as battle damage assessment, or bring the proof. If I take you back, when Balakot took place, there was a clamor on where is the proof. Today, it is for everybody to see that there has been widespread and very effective strike on the targets that have been chosen. What is also important for us and for the Pakistanis is that the capabilities that were spoken about during Balakot, today we have the capabilities to strike while remaining well within our own airspace. Second is these were high explosive weapons which were aimed to destroy the infrastructure. It was not aimed, unlike Balakot, where the aim was to hit the target and kill the people who were inside. This time it was both. That means destroy the infrastructure as well as ensure that there are enough number of casualties. The world media has been there and they are also airing those videos. The videos are being aired by common Pakistani, and I am very sure that we had our assets which were airborne and which have the capability to capture these strikes in real time and give a real time battle damage assessment of the success of strikes.
Okay, real time battle damage assessment, which has been released, sir, publicly.
Yes.
Everything has been shared. What would be the reason to put it out publicly, sir?
There are, I would believe there are two reasons. One is to ensure that there is no misinformation by Pakistan first. Last time around, there was a lot of misinformation which was peddled by ISPR and Pakistani media. The second is that it is a very clear-cut message to the Pakistani population as well as the Indian population and those within our nation who last time expressed some doubts on the success of strikes. So this is very clearly brings out three things. First, it very clearly brings out to the Pakistani common man, the parents, and those who send their children to madrasas to take up terrorism, very clearly that you cannot hide anywhere. You will be hunted down and you will be struck whenever we want to do it. Second is to tell clearly the nation that the military is doing its job very, very capably, and what we wanted, what the Prime Minister promised, that it is not an era of wars,
Okay.
but
I'm just going to hold your thought there, sir. So now let's just take through this one by one of what has just been done. I've just taken the imagery step by step. Can we just come down to the screen so I can do this step by step, please? PCR crew is going to follow me very, very assiduously. Okay, this is Sayyidina Bilal, POJK. The dotted line marking the yellow is the compound identified as the terrorist camp that has been targeted. This compound clearly contains 4 sets of buildings. The first building in the center of the screen, which you see, which has a red sloping roof. There is an anti-building to the left of that, and to the northwest of that you can see 2 more anti-buildings and a compound. So one building clearly is the main building, which seems to be well developed. This is the Sayyidina Bilal camp in POJK, which has been targeted and eliminated. This is the terror camp called Kotli Gulpur, also in POJK. This is in a heavily forested area. You can clearly see there are 2 buildings, one towards the bottom center of your screen, which is a largish building with a blue-green roof, another towards the top center of your screen with a blue sloping roof, and then towards the left a compound with a much smaller anti-building. The Kotli Gulpur camp in POJK, these 3 buildings have been targeted and eliminated. This is the, forgive me, aftermath of what has happened at the Sayyidina Bilal camp in POJK. You can clearly see that the buildings walls have shattered, and from the damage that I can see is that the brickwork as well as the beams are bending outwards, which means an explosion has taken place inside this particular building. Gives you a clear indication that if anything was inside the building, the chances of escaping this are very low. Now, we do know that in camps like the Sayyidina Bilal camp in POJK, what the Pakistanis' standard operating procedure was to create primary nursing centers. So, these were actually official government buildings designated as primary nursing centers, under the guise of which the terror training camps being conducted. So, you can see what looks like a white ambulance which is parked outside this building. This is the Sayyidina Bilal camp. So, this is before and this is after, and these are clearly photographs which are available from on the ground, and you can see, especially on the top left of your screen, you can clearly see that the beams have all buckled outwards. The walls have all blown outwards, and the first level of the building is completely destroyed. Parts of the ground floor roof have also caved in, but a two level building, top floor completely destroyed. Now, this is where the topographical, geographical context can be drawn. So, you are looking due east of Islamabad and Mansehra. These are the 4 camps, or rather 5 camps: Savai Nala, Sayyidina Bilal, Gulpur Kotli, Barnala Bhimber, and Abbas in Kotli. These are the 5 camps that have been targeted and eliminated. These are the known terror camps operating in this area, of which 5 have been targeted. Now, this is the Bhimber terror camp. You can see the area marked in the dotted yellow lines, which is showing 2 structures of smallish in nature and 1 larger compound. This is the before, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is the targeting operation in that camp in Bhimber. Here you go, is the second imagery of the targeting operation. So, you can clearly see over here the large black dots is the places. Now, the large black dot, which is the plume of smoke at the bottom of your screens, okay, that is the operation that has happened, and the building at the top of your screen you can clearly see. As you can see, watch the blob, large black blob at the bottom of your screens. As I switch the frames, watch it change. Okay. So, not there and now it is there. That is the smoke that is billowing. So, not there, now it is there, not there, now it is there. So, the missile or whatever has struck exactly at the center point of what was being targeted in this sort of a rectangular structure, or 2 sides of a square with a compound to one side. So, again, not there, there, that is the strike that has taken place. Now, let us move on to Kotli Abbas, also in POJK, again within the dotted line. 2 clear buildings with adjoining compounds have been identified. They look like at least 2 or 3 story buildings. So, 2 clear buildings identified there. This is the strike that has taken place on those buildings, and again have a look at this. This is the strike as it happened. Now, remember, this is infrared imaging. So, it is all black and white of what you can see, but before, after, this is the point of the strike, and after the building that has been destroyed. Okay. This is putting into context where this is located, and in context of Lahore, which as we know is across the border from Amritsar. Points 7, which is Muridke, just north of Lahore. Slightly further to the north is Mehmoona Joy. To the northeast, inside the salient that Pakistan has between Amritsar and Jammu, that is Sarjal, and further to the south across the border from Rajasthan, across the border from Bikaner, is Bahawalpur. Now, this is the Sarjal Sialkot camp, and the Sarjal Sialkot camp here is marked at number 8. So, this is in the salient near Sialkot, in the Sialkot sector. This is the camp. You can clearly see it is a large compound. There is a central courtyard surrounded on 3 sides by buildings. On the left side are farmland. There is a copse of trees towards the bottom right of your screens, and on the extreme right is more farmland. Within this, there are at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 structures around a central compound and an ancillary structure over what is clearly a demarcated training ground. You can see it's a well demarcated rectangle. So, this is the Sarjal camp near Sialkot in Pakistan. This is the strike that has been conducted on the Sarjal camp. Now, this is being taken at an angular degree. So, this is not straight down, this is not like a satellite image, it is being taken from an altitude, but at an angle. Now, this is the Mehmumana Joy camp in Pakistan. As a reference to context, this camp is north of Lahore and further north of Muridke, which is the other camp that was targeted. So, this is Mehmumana Joy. This is the targeting that has happened of the camp. This is the camp here. Now, you can clearly see in this case much smaller compound, 2 distinct structures, some tree line, open compound surrounded by farmland on both sides. This is what's happened at Mehmumana Joy, which is the data that has been put out, and this looks like drone reconnaissance for sure. Everything has been put out, even the layout of the drone reconnaissance has been shared publicly. So, this is a drone reconnaissance. So, this is not a satellite image. What you are seeing is from an angle, you are not seeing it straight down. So, this is the strike that has happened there. This is the main one, the Markaz Taiba Muridke. You can have a look at how large this complex is. A huge complex stretching over easily dozens of acres, occupying at least 60 or 70 buildings. I can identify at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 large structures. There are at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 compounds, and there are at least 3 or 4 dozen smaller structures. This is the main well known Markaz Taiba camp in Muridke. This is what was targeted. This is the black plume that you see in the center of your screens. Let me zoom in on that. That, ladies and gentlemen, here is the plume of the strike of the first missile. We have been told, and not forget been told, we have been shown 4 hits that have taken place on the Muridke camp. That is number 1, this is number 2, this is number 3. You can clearly see a much larger black plume, and this is number 4, yet another black plume on the center of your screens right about here. Okay? That is what happened to the end of the Pakistani terror camp at Muridke, which has been operating well since I have been alive. This is Bahawalpur, ladies and gentlemen. This is the last and the furthest due south camp next to the National Highway number 5 in Pakistan. Again, the yellow dotted line demarcates the camp. You can clearly see there are dozens of structures, one large white roofed building which is over here, which would serve as the madrasa as well as the prayer compound or the mosque for the building, for this compound over here. You can see straight line structures towards the north, and towards the east you see other compounds. Straight line structures often serve as barracks. You can clearly see a large a muddy training ground, and you can see further structures to the west of this image. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 structures here. There's a huge structure here which looks like a shed, long shed, and this is the Bhavalpur camp that has also been targeted. So, we have all the imagery. In fact, we even have the drone telemetry that has been shared. This has literally much all the data which is available. You have the coordinates which have been hit, you have the coordinates in which the drone was flying. Everything has been put into the public domain. I can even tell you that the drone had 32% battery left at the time this image was taken. So, it's unprecedented. I've never seen such kind of imagery being publicly shared by the Indian Air Force in such a manner, and which means that a lot of effort is being made to share the devil in the detail of what exactly has taken place. Now, let's look at these things if I can one by one. Let me take you to the very beginning, the Sayyidina Bilal camp. Okay. Now, this is what's happened afterwards. I don't know if any of you, our guests, can see this on your screens. Let me quickly examine this before I take on the larger issue of this. Air Marshal Kapoor, now we have been told that great care has been taken in the selection of the warheads and the munitions to conduct a pinpoint strike into these camps. Now, for one of these, we have immediate aftermath imagery from the ground. It's been taken from literally on the spot. Now, I don't know if this has been taken and received from our intelligence or it has been captured from imagery that has been posted by locals themselves, probably the latter, but it clearly shows that the beams of the building are buckling outwards, and whatever has struck the center of the building. I can see no cratering outside. Now, what would that indicate to you, sir? Can we hear, sir?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. So go ahead.
Yeah. So the first thing that is evident is that this is not a satellite or a drone imagery. It is a photograph that has been taken on the ground and has been shared. So that is the first part. Second part is it very clearly today the capability exists to have a pinpoint long range precision strike and with standoff weapons. And this is a high explosive weapon. So it basically hits and penetrates and then explodes. And that's why you will see that there is a buckling outwards.
Okay, so I can see in the image, if I'm going to zoom into this part of the image, so have a look at this. This is the inside of the building. So you can see the walls have not imploded, they have exploded outwards. So the walls are shattered outwards this direction. The inside floor of the building is relatively unmolested from this screen. This room, of course, its roof is damaged but not broken. But the top, of course, the roof is completely gone, and you can clearly see here on your screens this part. These are the beams which are buckling outward. You can see the curve on the beam buckling outward. You can see the curve on this beam also buckling outward. It's more readily apparent in this photograph as well. You can see curve of the beam and all the detritus, which is all that stuff, the masonry, the brickwork has blown outwards. Now, we don't know who was in this building, how many people were in the building, whether the building was empty at that point of time. But what you see parked outside the building is a white van which seems that it has lights on the top. Now, Air Marshal, we know that this is the modus operandi. It's been used by from Gaza all the way till POJK, that in government buildings designated to be primary healthcare centers, that's their official purpose. Inside, now everybody knows what was going on.
Absolutely. This is how the modus operandi of most terrorist organizations is. And if we see, if you see the larger camps like the Muridke and the Bahawalpur camp, they have constructed also the mosques around and schools around. And so what they want to couch it is outside they have something which is for social work, but inside it's all training which is going on. The fact is that the weapons are all different, and if you see in some of the targets, the weapon impact has been from top, and in some targets, the weapon impact has been from the frontal areas. And so this indicates that the different weapons with different capabilities and different explosives have been used with great care that the buildings are not in a very densely populated area, and where they are close to densely populated areas, the collateral damage has been reduced to bare minimum.
Okay, we are under operational guidelines, and I respect them more than anything of not sharing operational details, but this is officially shared operational details. So we are seeing it as they would be viewed in real time in whatever monitoring operations that were happening at the various GHQs. So this is monitoring that is being done by drone. So there is a separate exercise of the missile strike, but it's very interesting. So as I mentioned, the drone has 32% battery life lead. Okay, you can see now as a pilot, sir, you can probably talk us through a bit of this, the azimuth and the tilt and all this data which is available to a drone pilot, so he knows. And some of these drones, as you can tell, can be automated, and currently it's on auto mode because it has a manual, it has a geographical location where you can fly to. You can press a button and get the drone to return to where its point of origination. You can set the drone into a holding pattern. You can turn on the camera, you can turn off the camera, you can set the drone into a search pattern, attack pattern, abort pattern and warhead pattern. Now, India has never before publicly released its offensive attack drone capabilities. We know we have them, but they have never been publicly released. Obviously, my face here is not required because you're covering up the stuff that I'm trying to point out. But it's been publicly released now, sir. So while we can't comment on what exactly that capacity is, clearly India possesses advanced drones capable of carrying out ground attacks with warheads.
So I since I do not know whether the drones were used to target, what I know of as of now is that they were missiles, they were loitering munitions, and they were air to ground strikes using fighters. So I presently I am not aware whether the drones were used, but this very clearly is a proof that the drones and any other assets that are airborne, which have aerial reconnaissance capability, were used to in real time monitor whether the weapons went where they were intended to go or not, and to in real time assess the success of the strikes. And so when the full operation is planned, this is a part of operational planning where the drone should be positioned, at what altitude should it be positioned, what is the choice of sensor it would have, and where do we want it to look at that point in time. And so it constantly gives you a feed in terms of a video feed, which is real time.
Okay, we don't get an opportunity, may never get it again, and since it's public information now, let me take the pilot that we have with us, person who served in the Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, so what you're seeing over here is wind speed. So very low wind speed, just 2 kilometers per hour. It says 2 kmph. Take 2 kph. Wind direction is 30 degrees. The azimuth, and we'll get the Air Marshal to tell us what that is. 120 degrees azimuth, which is used. It's a directional finder in navigation. So this is what I can understand from it: the wind direction, the wind speed, because it's kph, very obvious. I understand enough to understand the azimuth, at the top, which is not very legible in the graininess of this photograph. Let me scroll it, pull it down for you. You have a latitude, and I'm assuming you would have a longitude. You have something called WPD and WP. At the center point, of course, you have, we know that the joystick controls were on at that particular point of time, and we also know that the camera capture button was on. So that's the recording feature. So it has a camera button on top over here and has a capture feature. So this was obviously on recording. The drone has an auto mode, it has a manual mode, fly to mode, return mode, hold mode, as I pointed out. And of course, this is what you would be seeing on a screen. Battery, as I mentioned, 32%. There is, I'm assuming this is, I can't tell what this is. It could be an HI or an MI. It doesn't, I don't think, refers to altitude at this point of time. But all directional details, which of course would give you the exact location of the, in this case, Mehmuna Joya camp inside Pakistan. And of course, the purpose of this is, now let's just now have a look at this. Now, these are grayscale drone pictures. Now, is this Air Marshal? Then we have to assume this is some kind of night vision infrared going on.
At night, the electro-optical or the standard camera will not function. And so what you see is a kind of gray and black. So the black indicates the explosion, that is the heat, and the gray background is the surrounding temperature. And so what is visible when you see the black plume, that black spot at the center of your screen, indicates an explosion there. And this is because the operation took place at night at around 1:45 a.m. At that point in time, the best sensor to use would be an infrared sensor.
Okay, so let me, for example, show you this next one. Okay, this you can't see much very clearly. Okay, so but in the third one, you can see a huge explosion has taken place. And it's this has to be a one very dark cloud, and there's a further dark gray cloud at the back of it. So again, if I do the before and after, okay, so this is the before, okay, and then this is the after, and you can immediately tell the difference. And at this point of time, as you can tell, this is the point. So this is a slightly zoomed out shot. Now have a look at this feature here, okay, or this compound within the tree line. Okay. Now, as you move forward, you will see this compound has arrived in closer zoomed in, and just now I don't know again what direction this is facing. So, I am just going to go on the top of your screen. You can see. So, once again, if I go back, all right, this is the area here. Okay. Now, watch where the cursor is. You can see the zoomed in area here, and you can see a huge explosion that takes place. This is hit number 3. Okay. This then is towards the left of that, which is hit number 4. Let me zoom in, and you can clearly see there is a plume emerging from the center and then mushrooming out onto the sides. That's hit number 4. This is Murid K. Now, would the missiles roughly hit each other within a few seconds of each other, sir, or would it happen over a period of time?
So this very clearly can indicate two things. One is that, you know, in any of these such strikes, what I've come to know is that almost 25 weapons were used. And so on a compound like this, to create the damage, one would use multiple weapons. And since it's a big compound, it would also entail a use of high explosive weapons. And that is what you see, that it's a much bigger explosion. Because it's a bigger weapon that has been used, a more powerful explosive weapon which has been used, which has higher explosive content, and it indicates that multiple weapons